Welcome into a brand new edition of the Patriots Hub Podcast, special Friday edition, because it has been a roller coaster week ahead of this Patriots-Bengals game. More on the Bengals side than on the Patriots side. So let's get the latest on all of that with our old friend Mike Petraglia from CLNS Media in Cincinnati. Covers the Bengals, all things Cincinnati out there. Trags, thanks so much for joining us.
Alex, it is my pleasure to be on with you. A lot to catch up on, to be sure.
I know you like to get right to the point, so I'm just going to be blunt here. Is Joe Burrow playing on Sunday, yes or no?
No, I don't think he is. Zach Taylor officially told us on Friday after the Friday afternoon or Friday morning practice that he would be questionable, that he has done everything in his power to get ready to return from that sprained toe or, the turf toe injury that actually required surgery. He wasn't expected, Alex, to return until mid-December, and he's almost a full month ahead of schedule. And Zach Taylor made reference to that this afternoon. And if you're reading between the lines, I think they think that Joe Burrow is ready to play, but they don't want him to play. And why is that? The Bengals play on Thursday night in Baltimore. Do you really want to return a guy off injury after surgery, mind you, and have him come back against the Patriots defense and then 5 days later be ready to play in a full contact game in Baltimore against the Ravens? I don't think you do. I think Joe Flacco is probably the call on Sunday against the Patriots.
I think a lot of people look at this from the outside looking in. The Bengals are 3-7. They've been struggling. The problem isn't their offense, it's their defense, which we'll get to.
Correct.
Right? They're not mathematically eliminated, but again, they're up against it. And they say, well, why would you play Burrow? Why would you expose him? Why would you risk him? Whether it is Sunday, whether it is Thursday, why do you think there's this push, there's this ahead of schedule push from the Bengals to get Joe Burrow back on the field?
I don't think it's from the Bengals, Alex. I think it's from Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow is an intense competitor. He wants to be back on the field. We were talking to T. Higgins yesterday, and T. Higgins related the story on, I believe it was Wednesday, that he asked Burrow, are you coming back? You look great. This is amazing. You coming back Sunday? And T. Higgins said he just gave me one of these looks. And he said, what does that look mean, Joe? And T was asked, what does that look mean? And he said, well, you know what? I think it's all good. I think it's great. I think it means that he's ready to play, wants to play, but who knows? It's up to the Bengals in the final decision.
So, look, I don't want to minimize. I think Joe Burrow is a tremendous player. I don't want to minimize what he does, but you look at what this offense has been last week, a little bit of a step back against the Steelers, but prior to that, Joe Flacco kind of had them humming, and he was playing well, and stylistically, they're similar players. How much of a difference for Sunday do you think it makes Joe Flacco versus Joe Burrow, and is there any worry of rust if Burrow plays?
Certainly there's worry of rust. He's a human being. I don't see how you come off the injured reserve list and coming off a surgery, mind you, and not expect there to be at least some rust to shake off in the first quarter of the game at least. But in terms of the way the two quarterbacks play the game, Joe Burrow does a lot more pre-snap. He wants to move pieces on the chessboard around, much in the same way Tom Brady did, much in the same way Peyton Manning did. That's the kind of mental quarterback and intelligent quarterback that Joe Burrow is. That's the way he plays the game. He certainly has a good arm, an incredibly accurate arm. Joe Flacco has the stronger arm, and he can drive the ball down the field more. He is more likely to just sling it around the field and usually do so pretty accurately, although I think he was banged up on Sunday in Pittsburgh, and you saw the result, a couple of one interception that was a pick six and a couple of others that could have been interceptions. Joe Flacco has the stronger arm. I think Joe Burrow plays the game pre-snap a little bit more thoroughly. He can try and get the Patriots out of position. That's the difference between the two quarterbacks. Joe Burrow knows Zach Taylor and knows how Zach Taylor wants to run this offense, whereas I think Joe Flacco is just being asked to make sure you get the ball to the top two targets. And of course, this week, and we'll talk about this, Jamar Chase won't be one of those top 2 targets. It's going to be T. Higgins, Andre Yosivach, and probably Mitch Tinsley.
So, yeah, I want to ask you about the rest of those targets. No Jamar Chase, obviously. You can't be spitting on people. So
Nope,
the
cannot.
Bengals are going to have to adjust. You figure maybe Yosivach plays more in a boundary. He's got some size, even though he's primarily a slot receiver. The thing I keep going back to is the Patriots. When you look at this from the just to match up the two teams specifically, the Patriots have struggled to cover tight ends this year. It's maybe the biggest weakness for their defense outside of the first drive of the game. They've struggled to cover tight ends, and they're down one of their top defensive tackles in Milton Williams. So if I'm the Bengals, I look at this. I'm down a wide receiver, right? Come out, play a ton of 12. You get Mike Gesicki back. They activated him today. Noah Fant's been good for them. Run 2 tight end, run 12. You can force the Patriots to cover those tight
run
ends.
13,
and you
maybe.
also maybe, right, and you can also run the ball down their throat where Milton Williams is out. But the Bengals, historically, they run a lot of 11. They don't run the ball a lot. Fewest rush attempts in the league. They're not a team that adjusts very much game to game. They're not a game plan offense. Do you think there's any chance that this game maybe breaks the mold and we see them do some more 12 personnel and get both Gesicki and Fant involved?
It's good that you brought that up, Alex, because they have been running the ball more and more to the point they're happier with what they're getting out of Chase Brown when they do run the ball. He has been breaking many more explosive plays, i.e. runs over 20, 25 yards. He had another one against the Steelers that set the Bengals up for a touchdown drive in that game on Sunday in Pittsburgh. And when you're talking about Mike Gesicki and the tight ends, he's actually more, and you guys know this from his days in New England, much more of a wide receiver. And Zach Taylor has called him that in some of his Friday conversations with us. He considers him more of a wide receiver than he does a true tight end. Noah Fant, you're going to see a lot of Noah Fant. You'll see a lot of Drew Sample. He is the heavy tight end in the offense, if you will, a run blocking specialist, somebody who also is very trusted in the pass protection scheme that the Bengals throw out there when they're throwing the ball around the field. So that's what I would expect from the Bengals. Yes, they want to throw it over the middle and throw it to their running backs, to their tight ends, but they still want to get the ball to T. Higgins. I mean, he has had a terrific season in terms of scoring touchdowns. He has 6 touchdowns in his last 5 games.
On the other side of the ball, the Bengals defense, I think at this point, I think you had know we were going to talk about it.
Yeah.
I think at this point, Patriots fans have heard your stories. The number I keep going back to in the Super Bowl era, no team has ever finished last in points allowed, yards allowed, pass yards allowed, rush yards allowed. The Bengals are hanging on by a thread. They're 31st in the league against the pass.
Right.
Against the pass. But I can't imagine it's just one thing when you're that bad across the board. But like, what is it? Are they as bad as the legends say?
Well, yes, they are. And here's why. They can't tackle. Fundamental concept in football defense is tackling, bringing the ball carrier to the ground as quickly and authoritatively as you can. Get him to the ground. Bengals are horrifically bad at that. They lead the NFL in missed tackles by, I think, 25 over the second closest team.
Yeah, it's like something, I think it's 127.95 is the
something
gap.
Like that. Correct. It's extraordinary. And the reason it's extraordinary is they say that they can't really teach tackling. They teach some tackling concepts in training camp and in practice as the season goes along, but they don't do a lot of live tackling. And, it's one thing that Zach Taylor has come under criticism for, and maybe it's something he has to address in the offseason next year. But they are really, really bad at bringing the ball carrier to the ground. And it's up and down, really, the defensive secondary, the linebackers, and even to a degree, some of their defensive linemen, although their linemen are okay at tackling. But their safeties are horrific. Their linebackers, the problem with the linebackers, Alex, with the Bengals, they're 2 rookies, Demetrius Knight Jr. out of South Carolina and Barrett Carter out of Clemson. It's not that they can't tackle. They can't even get in position to tackle because they are often lined up in the wrong spot that Al Golden has them lined up in. go ahead.
Yeah, no, I wanted to ask you about that. And look, I studied those guys during the draft. I think, I didn't think they were bad players. Their athleticism is really
Right.
what stood out to me more than physicality. But there's times you watch the Bengals where, and this is going to happen to any team over the course of a season, maybe a couple times in a game, but the amount of like late communication and guys seeming confused before the snap, still in week 12, it's more than you're used to seeing in that kind of situation. Is it just a young unit? Is it, or do you think it's a coaching issue?
Both. And I know that's the easy way out, but it's definitely the coaching issue. It's something that apparently the Bengals are not communicating effectively enough in practice and practicing enough in practice, how to get these players on in 5 to 10 seconds quickly, get them lined up into position. If there has to be a play call change, what's the play call change? How do they affect that change on the field? Bengals are horrific at doing that. And it's why, Alex, if you've watched a lot of film of opposing offenses against the Bengals defense, the Bears certainly did it, the Jets did it, the Steelers did it. Misdirections and trick plays, the Bengals, if you run a successful trick play, meaning you don't fumble it in the backfield, if you're running a Statue of Liberty or a flea flicker, the Bengals linebackers have no idea where they're going. So I asked Zach Taylor about this, if he has seen from Josh McDaniels this year a lot of mesh concepts.
Yeah.
And the mesh is obviously crossers and running man beaters in around the linebackers, because the Bengals linebackers are the weakness of their team. And he said, no, I haven't, but that doesn't mean we won't see it this weekend from the Patriots. If I'm the Patriots and I'm Josh McDaniels, I run misdirections up the yin-yang against the Bengals and see if they can handle it, because so far they've shown that they can't.
So something that comes to mind there, they've been, and they've run it a couple times, but they've really been teasing. They'll run Pop Douglas on a short motion from the slot and kind of fake the handoff to him as he comes around, and then hand it off to the back or throw somewhere else. They've handed it to him once or twice on that look, but not a ton. But I wonder if this is the week where the Pop Douglas end around's a big play. They've tried it with Kyle Williams as well, some of those speed guys to get them involved. The other thing with this Bengals defense, as bad as they've been, they lost one of their top corners in Cam Taylor-Britt. They're also expected. I haven't actually seen the Bengals injury report. We're recording this at about 3:30 on Friday. Is Trey Hendrickson officially out yet? I know he didn't practice all week, so he's officially out.
Shamar Stewart is officially questionable, I believe.
Oh,
no, he's on injured. No. He's on injured reserve.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
So I was going to say,
obviously not available.
They've drafted heavily there. Miles Murphy was a first-round pick a couple years ago. Shamar Stewart, I know he's hurt, but he was kind of having a disappointing year before that. They keep using first-round picks on edge guys, and they're not hitting. What's going on?
And that's a great question, Alex. We don't know. We've asked Al Golden that. We've asked certainly Zach Taylor that. They're all well aware that they need more production. When you have 3-star contracts like the Bengals have in Joe Burrow, T. Higgins, and Jamar Chase, and let's throw Trey Hendrickson in there. He's getting $29 million this season. You've got to hit on rookie contracts, meaning you've got to get production from guys on rookie contracts. The Bengals have completely struck out in that regard. It's one of the reasons their defense has been so bad. They didn't spend a lot of money in the offseason in free agency to bring in guys. TJ Slayton was their most notable name on defense, and he's been okay, at times good this year, but not what they expected him to be. But more to the point, their safety play, Alex, has been horrible. Jordan Battle and Geno Stone have not been good. They haven't been good defending the pass. Geno Stone is, I think, in the top 3 in the league in missed tackles, which you don't want from anybody in that position. Jordan Battle, I think, is in the top 7 in missed tackles. Their safety play has been brutal, but we all wondered in March and in April, when they didn't draft anybody, why aren't you addressing the safety room? And the answer we kept getting was, we like the safeties that we have. We like the way they're coming along, and we like who's behind them. They aren't even confident in their number 3 safety to put him on the field. That's Tyson Anderson. He's a special teamer. They can't even get him on the field. And Dejon Anthony is somebody who has been activated this week, probably will not play this weekend. He's someone at the beginning of the season suffered a hamstring injury. That's it. That was their depth behind Geno Stone and Jordan Battle. It's just been a real a catastrophe in the secondary.
So that leads to the question. Patriots fans have been big on this. Drake Maye, as good as he's been, still does not have a 300-yard game. Now, 300-yard games are a little rare in the NFL with the new kickoff rules. I like that, by the way. I think you would agree with me on this. 300-yard games should mean something. They shouldn't be as easy as they became the last couple years. But, people see these Bengals numbers. Okay, here we go. Drake Maye, first 300-yard game. But I'm doing some digging this week. As bad as they're kind of the reverse Drake Maye. Drake Maye leads the NFL in passing yards, but he doesn't have a 300-yard game. The Bengals have allowed all these passing yards, but they've only allowed one 300-yard passer in all of this. It was Bo Nix in week 4. It's a lot of guys in like the 270s and 280s. The flip side of that, they've allowed more 100-yard rushers than anybody in the NFL. But so to bring it back to this game, my question to you, do you think this is the game that Drake Maye breaks 300? If he doesn't, do you think we maybe see a big game from either one of the Patriots running backs or like a massive tandem game?
I think he probably gets to 300 yards in this game because he's probably going to Hunter Henry. If he doesn't have a big game on Sunday, I'd be stunned. I really would be. Also, I think the running backs are going to have a lot of pass receiving yards in this game. I do think it'll be close because if the Patriots get ahead big in this game, I'm talking about 3 or 4 scores, which certainly is in the realm of possibility, then the Patriots aren't going to be passing the ball late in games. And that's, and the Patriots have had themselves a couple of blowouts or a couple of games at least, certainly where they've been in command in the fourth quarter. There's been no reason to pass the ball all over the field. So that's why you see a lot of good teams with lower passing numbers because they're trying to run out the clock. They're not trying to set, Tom Brady from 2007 and 2010 passing records. They're trying to win the game. And if the Patriots are up big in this game late, it'll be tough for Drake Maye to get to that 300-yard mark, I think.
So I just want to kind of end it here because obviously in New England, everybody's enjoying the Drake Maye experience. There's a lot to like. He's played really well, but I'm always curious to get the external opinion, and you're in a unique perspective where you covered Brady here for his entire career, and then you've also covered Joe Burrow, and you covered the start of his career where he went to a Super Bowl in his second year, something Drake Maye is obviously trying to do. As you've watched throughout the season, as you've studied him this week, just what have your impressions been of Drake Maye?
Remarkably accurate, and Zach Taylor pointed this out. He has completed, I believe, 72% of his passes, which is a terrific number, as well as having a 4-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio. You have those two things going for you, you're going to be having an excellent year, an MVP caliber year. And I think certainly Drake Maye is in that conversation. But it's the moments in Tampa Bay, like for instance, he throws that interception before halftime at Tampa Bay. Look at the way he played the rest of the game. He makes one mistake, but it doesn't throw.
You're talking about the interception in the fourth quarter.
The fourth quarter, I'm sorry. Yeah, fourth quarter. That's right, fourth quarter. And he throws that interception. It doesn't phase him, right? It doesn't throw his whole mentality into the crapper. He's able to bounce back from that and still be aggressive downfield, still play his game. And I don't know if it was a Mike Vrabel press conference that I was listening to, but I found it interesting that they said that Drake Maye takes the coaching from Mike Vrabel and is able to soak it all in and apply it going forward. He doesn't, it doesn't overload his sensory. He's able to apply everything he hears. He's able to filter some things out as well. And I think that's what I've seen from Drake Maye this year. Plus the fact I just love his personality. I love the way he comports himself on the field. He looks super relaxed. And I know that's, subjective and eyeballing and all of that non-analytical stuff. But to me, it does matter when you look into a quarterback's eyes and you see him calm, relaxed, but still in charge. I think that's what has made Drake Maye so good this year.
And I think it all ties together. Like the fact he does have that demeanor is what helps him. You talked about him getting by the mistakes and taking the coaching. That he struggled with that last year. Even in the opener this year, he played a good first half. threw a pick right before the half or right after the half. I forget, it was right in the middle of the game. And then he kind of wasn't the same the rest of the game. And it was like, oh boy, he's doing this last year. We go. And the rest of the season, he hasn't made a lot of mistakes, but when he does, maybe in the Falcons game a little bit, but he was also getting hit like crazy in that game. So he's done a really good job.
I think he's going to have to worry about that this weekend. Have you taken a look at the pass rush rates of the Cincinnati Bengals?
It's not good, right?
The worst in the NFL, along with a lot of other, as you have already mentioned, a lot of other defensive analytical stats.
So I was just going to say, it's not, it's not rocket science that, okay, when the quarterback's clean, he's going to be better. And he obviously has been better when he's not pressured, but he's kind of turned into one of these guys. Again, you covered Brady, you covered Burrow, you covered Brady Manning in their primes. Like, he's become one of these quarterbacks that you can't blitz, because if you don't know whether or not you're going to get to him, and if you don't get to him, he's not going to be fazed by the blitz. He's going to throw right behind it and hit you. So I don't know if the Bengals try to blitz more to compensate for that, but if they can't get pressure on him, it could be a long day.
Here's one thing I think the Bengals could do. Yeah. They know it's going to be, you don't blitz Drake Maye. They could try and confuse him with some different looks that he hasn't seen before. If you're the Bengals, what do you have to lose on defense? Try anything. Right. Try everything. You haven't done anything well this year. Maybe this is the game where you try some experimental look in the secondary. Drop 8. I mean, Lou Anarumo.
Teams have been doing that.
Yeah, drop 8, but not only drop 8, have them flying all over in different coverages, go from man to back, drop into a zone, whatever. Anything to give Drake Maye pause to think. If you can make the quarterback think for maybe an extra second, then you have a chance of forcing a mistake. And the Bengals are going to need, I think, Drake Maye to make about 3 or 4 critical mistakes in this game for them to have any chance of winning it.
That is the one thing I noticed, that the one area the Bengals are not bottom of the league in. They do have 8 interceptions this year. That ranks 11th. Right. So, Drake Maye's got to be careful with the football, but he's been a lot better about that. What's your, you got a score for this game? What's your prediction?
Well, I think it's going to be the Patriots 35 and the Bengals 20. 35-20 Patriots.
Now, we're in the same ball. I said 38-17 yesterday, so we're in the same ballpark there. He is Mike Petraglia, covers the Bengals for CLNS Media, CLNSCincy.com, the Jungle Roar podcast as well. And again, Joe Burrow right now still questionable, so if you follow Trags, he's been the first one getting the updates out. I think you beat Schefter to the one yesterday, so at Trags on social media, that's the guy you want to follow to get the latest updates on Joe Burrow, assuming that hopefully I get this podcast up before they make any official announcement one way or the other. And Trags, thanks for coming on, and we'll talk to you Sunday as well. Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff.
That sounds great, Alex.